Okay, so let's start on assignment number 2. The lessons, as you can see, are storytelling and content, and our exercise is going to be creating a storyboard. So to access this, if you remember, it's on this third link here. Go ahead and click on that. And the first lesson we're going to go over is storytelling. I missed it. Click on C6 more. There it is, storytelling. So storytelling, user experience design focuses on the experience your customers have as they go through your product. This most commonly applies to digital design, but it's no different in concept than you would see in anything else that's more physical, such as a billboard, the sign on a door. We were talking about doors earlier, or anything that if a user has to interact with it, you want the user experience to be good. So let's start with the customer journey. For example, your customer is shopping for a pair of shoes. What will they first see when they visit your website? The customer may ask themselves, "Will I know where to go? Is this a website that's the right place for me?" And all those questions. For example, um, goth. Okay, if you were like a Hot Topic kind of shopper, going to Hot Topic at the mall, anything kind of goth, and if you see something that is very, I don't know, preppy, you might say, that's not the place for me. And if the reverse of that, if you're looking for something that was more professional and you're going to a website where it's a bunch of gothic looking stuff, looks like Abby from NCIS or Hot Topic store, this might say, this is not the place for me. These are all elements of their journey and should be considered when designing a solution. So, particularly the order in which they arrive at these answers. And so they want to be able to know this is the right kind of shoe store for them. Books begin by bringing the reader into the experience, the stage or the location of the characters and the lives, and it makes them invested into it. I'm a reader. I don't know how, I think some of you are readers as well. And, once I got to have a good first chapter or two, or there's got to be a reason for me to continue to invest my time into it. And same thing for user experience. Whenever it's your website or an app or anything else of that nature, they gotta have a good reason to continue to invest their time into it. So when the customers your website with the common courtesies, introduce yourself and what you're offering. For example, hotels.ng introduces with a text, find and book hotels in Nigeria. Okay, so it's pretty much self-explanatory what that's doing. Think of this as similar to having a guest in your home. You want them to come see your home, eat, and stay a while, and so on and so forth. And you want them to enjoy it enough to come back again. I'm thinking more like an Airbnb than somebody coming to my home. But, anyways, let's say that's instead of a guest in your home, let's say they're going to do an Airbnb. My husband and I, we had an Airbnb when we went over Christmas break, and it was a super nice cottage. It was everything. The experience was great. My husband wants to keep going back, but he was very impressed with the whole experience with it. So you want to organize your product for your audience so that they feel welcome and you're comfortable with their digital space. So here's a basic formula. Here's a formula of basic elements that you can experience with some of your favorite e-commerce sites. So it's an introduction with the logo and the name of the site and or product, plus a welcome. So then featured products that represent the category of offerings. An easy to navigate journey that is comfortable, simple path. We don't want them to have to overthink what they're going to do next. That we want them to be like dummy proof, like they know what to do, that there's no second guessing if this is what they're supposed to do or not. We want it to be very intuitive. So when thinking through this process, remember you don't need to try and arrange all this information on a single page or screen, or it could be overwhelming. Considering how your experience unfolds over time, like a story, reveal information about your site security or information on shipping speeds only when relevant. So if they're getting to the point where they are going to make a purchase online and put their credit card information in, that's where you want that to know about that it's secure. Design is just as much about the things that you choose not to include as it is about the things you do. So you'll find that you're crafting a narrative around your products is not just helpful to getting and maintaining customer happiness, but it's crucial to defining and defending your design decisions. So communicating through storytelling is a powerful way to share decision making and build customer empathy. If you're working with others or developing a product, it's crucial that they understand the customers and their needs. So getting approval can also depend on how your teammates or collaborates understand what decisions you made and why. So much like prototyping, often used to share how an experience works, sharing the story makes the holistic experience easier to grasp. Okay, so that is a storytelling lesson. Now let's go to a content lesson. So I'm going to go back. I think content was right before that. Yeah, content. So let's talk about content. So as you'll see when we dive into wireframing, there are benefits to starting with no content or even fake content and keep only the customer experience and layout in mind. But with this method, you'll notice that your design mocks doesn't match up to your finished app with real customer content in them. Lines of text might be longer than the space allotted for the design files. Designing with real customer information and as close to final content is always the best case scenario. That's why it's important for you to create a web page right now. You were to create a web page right now, you would recommend that spend many hours working on the words themselves that will be on the site before you open up a computer. So basically, they were saying, write it down or put it on something else before you put it on your web page. It's essential to map out the types of things that you want to tell people. You'll quickly find yourself designing pages that might not be necessary or even duplicate others that already existed. This process helps uncover considerations you might otherwise forget. So writing copy is hard, which makes it the most overlooked parts of the design process. It's often the neglected middle child of design because lousy copy is able to ruin the entire experience. The easiest way to improve that writing is to just do it. Practice writing regularly, either for your app or maybe a personal goal. Tools like 750 words, like 750 words, help you learn to build a habit of writing. It's kind of like programming and coding. Just do it repetitively, just for the sake of it, and you're going to get better at it. I think Jerry Seinfeld, I think I heard one of his quotes was saying that, write a joke every day. No matter how much it sucks, then eventually the practice of it you will improve. Let's see. So here's a resource if you want to, pursue that. Examine every word you put on paper. You'll find a surprising number that don't serve any purpose. And I know I'm guilty of this as well. And this is, I kind of get well done. I don't know. I can't even talk without doing it. Overdo what the words that I really need. And I'm trying to get better at it, but it's something that I don't know. It's just something I'm working on. When writing gets tough, remember this. You're creating something, and the most powerful tool in your kit is the words your app shows. You don't need to nail it the first time, but make sure to invest a good starting point. So what I usually do, and depends on what I'm doing and how much time I have to do it, and how many times I proofread it, all of those. I start with something, and I usually get too talkative or too long-winded in my writing. And then once I start proofing it and looking at it again and again and again over days, then I'm able to kind of shorten it, which is the goal. You don't want it to be too long. We want to be able to say the most in the least amount of words because people tend to lose attention. So to start designing, you don't need the final copy, but you do need to know the content that will be used, what sections you need, what the general message and the paragraphs will say. You can use placeholders in your designs too. You're indicating what is going to be there with the intent to replace that with final content later on. So both understanding what content is coming and using placeholders can be helpful in establishing hierarchy, blocking out content areas for your design, and visualizing spacing. It's important to clearly communicate with developers, stakeholders, etc., that the placeholders are not the real content. It's just temporary. Additionally, as you gather content, keep in mind that you don't have to create everything yourself. There's fonts, icon libraries, photography resources, and all that stuff online. Just make sure that you're able to do that without any kind of copyright violations. Okay, so that is all on the lessons. And the next video is going to be on creating the storyboard.